Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Welcome to Good Movies and Music. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching. So today we're reacting to Boyz N The Hood, which actually came out 30 years ago on this day, back on July 12th, 1991. And I'm really excited to be watching this movie personally. You know, a couple months ago I watched New Jack City on this channel. It was one of my favorite films I've watched so far on this channel. And you know, movies like this, like New Jack City and Boyz N The Hood, because of where I grew up, these are movies that were just really in the zeitgeist. You know, people in my neighborhood really loved them. And I think I just wasn't old enough at the time when they came out to be watching them, but I was aware of them. And I didn't grow up in the hood, but I did grow up in a Chicano working class neighborhood that had its own issues with, you know, drugs and gangs. So I think people in my neighborhood just really related to them. And for me, though, I think by the time I was old enough to watch them, I kind of wasn't interested just because, you know, part of me, I was just really into escapism as a kid. You know, I was into science fiction and superheroes. You know, I was into Marvel, you know, way back before it was popular and mainstream. And back when I was reading Marvel comics, that was a liability, especially growing up in El Barrio. You know, that'd get you made fun of. You could get bullied for being into superheroes back when I was a kid. So yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't want to watch films like Boyz N The Hood because I think I just didn't want to be reminded of what was waiting outside my door. But now I think just a couple decades removed and with hindsight, I'm ready to get into these movies. And this movie in particular, I'm really excited about because it stars Ice Cube. And, you know, despite the fact that I wasn't really into crime films or gangster films when I was a kid, I was really into gangster rap. And, you know, if you grew up Chicano on the West Coast in the 90s, like West Coast gangster rap was just, that was the music of my generation. That was the music of my youth. You know, I'm actually kind of embarrassed about how much I don't know about Mexican music, being of Mexican descent, because this is what I grew up on. I grew up on Ice Cube's music, you know, and I grew up on Death Row Records with Pac and Snoop and Dre. You know, that's what we were listening to. So it's really cool for me that Ice Cube is in this movie because I did watch Friday. You know, I think by that point, I don't know that I would say that I was technically old enough to be watching it, but I watched it and me and my friends loved Friday. We would quote that all the time. So the fact that he has this movie that, you know, predates it by a few years, that's really exciting for me. So yeah, Ice Cube really had an impact on me, at least musically, when I was growing up. I look back at the song It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube, and that was one of the first songs that had a real impact on me. It really influenced the way I look at music and, you know, the power of music and what you can do with it narratively and just the feelings you can invoke in people. Because that song, you know, it has this sort of, when you're first listening to it, you know, it has this sort of chill, mellow vibe, and lyrically is talking about having a good day. But at a certain point, you just start to feel this sort of tension in the music. It almost starts to feel too good to be true. Like at a certain point, this beat and this melody that sound at first like they're this mellow kind of vibe starts to feel really haunting and like kind of, it makes you start to feel tense and anxious. Like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the music video itself does a great job of reinforcing that. You know, the music video, it's if you go back and watch it, it's actually really cinematic. There's these long tracking shots and just really good cinematography. It's using cinematic language to the fullest, and then it ends, you know, after he's had this good day, you know, he's all of a sudden the helicopter spotlight is on him, the SWAT team rolls up, he's in front of his house and he's surrounded by cops with guns, and like the way it ends is so ambiguous where he just kind of looks at them and he walks away into his house, and it's like, is he accepting his fate? Is he being defiant? Or is he just sort of giving in and realizing that where I grow up, who I am, I can't have a good day? You know, like it was too good to be true. So it was very profound, even for me as a little kid watching it way back when. And then it ends with a to be continued, which, by the way, I don't know if they ever did continue it. I don't know what music video that would have been. So yeah, I'm really stoked to be going back and watching this film because, like I said, I watched Friday, but that was more of a comedy. It did have its drama and it did have some points to make, but it was, you know, we mostly, as a kid anyway, we internalized that as a comedy. You know, I'm guessing Boyz N The Hood is very much not a comedy. So it'll be pretty cool to just see a young Ice Cube in a straight-ahead dramatic role. Of course, the rest of the cast is stacked. You got Cuba Gooding Jr., Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne. So yeah, this cast, you know, all future legends, you know, just early on in their careers. So that's always a fun thing to go back and watch. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. I really don't know too much about the plot itself. I just know, again, that it takes place in South Central and that we have this amazing cast. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be my reaction to Boyz N The Hood, directed by John Singleton from 1991. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Them niggas around the corner tripped out, man. Where my
Already. Sounds like something's happening. It's going to be a drive-by.
Get ready. I'm finna let you know. What's up,
One out of every 21 black American males, most will die at the hands of another black male. Starting right off with the heavy symbolism. South Central, 1984. Okay.
What up, Trey? You doing homework? What homework? Not for it. Yeah, I did it. Can I copy it? Did y'all hear the shooting last night? My mama say a bullet don't have no name on it. I ain't afraid to get shot. Both my brothers been shot. They still alive. They lucky. What happened? What do you think? Somebody got smoked. Look at the hole in the wall, stupid. He stuck it to my times tables. Why is the blood turning yellow? That's what happens when it separates from the plasma.
So that's how the settlers...
That's a heavy thing to know at that age.
Class?
Yes. The penguins.
Who said that?
That's me.
How is it you always have something funny to say?
Because I'm a comedian.
Would you like to come up and teach the class?
I mean, he's gonna say yeah. He said he's a comedian and you're gonna give him a stage? Of course he's gonna say yeah.
What are you going to talk about?
Tell you if you let me talk, shoot. Okay, does anybody know what the name of this place is? That's Africa, I know that. But did you know that Africa is the place where the body of the first man was found? My daddy says that makes it the place where all people originated from. That means everybody's really from Africa. Like in now you from Africa. I'm from Africa, you from Africa, you African booty scratcher. I'll get my brother to shoot you in the face.
Jeez.
So punk ass. I get my daddy. At least I got one motherfucker.
That's
Ain't nobody
brutal.
He's highly intelligent. He has enormous vocabulary. Just that he has a very bad temper. Perhaps I could recommend therapy or a child psychologist. Are you employed?
That's really none of your business. But since you asked, I am employed and I'm studying to receive my master's degree.
Then you
Okay.
are educated.
Listen, are we going to talk about me or my son?
This all feels very familiar. My mom was actually getting her master's degree. Probably when I was this age. Probably a little older, actually. Yeah, master's in education. She was a teacher, vice principal.
Tell her go jump in the lake, mama.
What is our agreement? I, Trey Styles, being of sound mind and body, agree not to get into any disputes. If I do not conform to this agreement, I will go to live with my father.
Angela Bassett's just always had that strong presence. Like, she just has that charisma that just commands the room. You know, like, she speaks and you listen.
I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm living, that's enough for me. What's the matter, you can't say hi?
I can't teach him how to be a man. That's your job.
Why this fool got more comics than a mother? Hey, come here. Watch my...
This is feeling very familiar.
This is just a temporary thing. When I get out of school, I get a better job, a better place to stay. Then you can come back and things will be better.
Love you. Me too. Mom.
So, Doughboy, you staying out of trouble?
Troubles? I ain't got no trouble. You got some trouble?
I want you to rake up these leaves off the lawn. Hey, boy, don't look at me funny if I ask you to do something. Here, take this.
Dad, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to do around here?
I don't have to do nothing around here except for pay the bills, put food on the table, and put clothes on your back. You understand? What I'm doing is I'm trying to teach you how to be responsible. It's like your little friends across the street, they don't have anybody to show them how to do that. They don't. You're gonna see how they end up, too. You're a prince, you know that? Yeah, you're the prince, I'm the king.
So many of these conversations feel very familiar to me. Good kid in a bad neighborhood. Smart kid acting out. It's too relatable.
Somebody must have been praying for that fool. Because I swear I aimed right for his head.
You should have blew it off.
Don't say that. Just would have been contributing to killing another brother.
We got a call of a burglary here?
Yeah, that was about an hour ago.
Whoa. We didn't ask you that.
Yeah, well, I told you.
Is there anything missing?
No.
Good. No need to make out a report. You know, it's too bad you didn't get him. Be one less nigga out here in the streets we have to worry about.
Is the black cop that's saying all this? Interesting choice that the white cop seems to be just sort of chill about the whole
Something
thing.
wrong? Yeah.
That's the black cop that's really going at him.
It's just too bad you don't know what it is.
This movie isn't here to pull punches, though.
Man, why you always play football? Because that's what I want to do. Rick, why you have to bring that ball? I ain't saying nothing if it get took.
This reminds me, I've never seen the movie Stand By Me. Isn't that like 4 kids walking along a railroad track at some point?
Trey's daddy blasted at somebody last night. It smelled like dog died. Looked like Freddy Krueger got her. He stank.
Another reminder, I haven't watched Nightmare on Elm Street either.
Don't you know this is a dead body?
Yeah, motherfuckers, I know that shit. He ain't bothering you, so don't with him.
It's not a bad point.
Man, I told you not to bring that ball.
Thanks, cuz.
Hey, give me my brother's ball back!
Here we go.
I said give me my brother's ball back!
Before what? What your fat ass gonna do?
I like how this is shot, like looking down at the kid.
Hey, little man! Catch!
What's the 3 rules? Break it down for me.
Always look a person in the eye. 2 words, to never be afraid to ask you for anything. Stealing isn't necessary. To never respect anybody who doesn't respect you back.
What do you know about sex?
I know a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Blushing.
what little bit is that?
And 9 months later, a baby comes out.
Use protection,
You
kids.
think that's it? Anyway, I wanted to be somebody you could look up to. I guess that's why I went to Vietnam. Don't ever go in the army, Trey. Black man ain't got no place in the army.
Damn.
Why did he get arrested?
Oh man, looks like we're going to juvie.
Ooh, child, things will be brighter.
7 years later. Okay.
Give me to me.
No, I said
Is Ricky still wearing his football jerseys?
That's why he's crying.
Domino, mother.
There he is.
Say about that.
Nia Long. So I mostly remember her from Fresh Prince. Lisa.
Just in time for the food.
Working over at the Fox Hill Mall?
Yeah, I get a discount on clothes and shit. You like?
You look like you selling rocks.
Trey, you be slanging that shit?
Nah, man, I don't be doing that shit.
Oh, he is fine. I like to watch that. He go to watch
Regina King?
Uh-uh.
Wow. We're having a bit of a Regina King-assance lately. She was amazing in Watchmen. And then she directed One Night in Miami. That was a really good film. Reviewed that on my channel.
No, man, I never lied to my father. Well, almost never.
Where's all this coming from?
I lied to Pops yesterday. Told him I wasn't no virgin.
Well, he ain't a virgin, is he? Is he?
Don't you really want to know?
Yeah, I asked you, didn't I?
I was afraid.
Elaborate, please.
What you afraid of, man?
Of being a daddy.
Oh. Yeah.
I like how that just like right away he was like, oh, yeah, totally. I get it.
Why the silent treatment? You haven't talked to me in 5 days. I call your house and you tell your father to say you're not home.
Watch me shoot this motherfucker. Look. Flag. Yeah.
Man, I remember that sound. I had that Super Mario / Duck Hunt cartridge. This is the first video game I owned.
Hello, I'm Louis Crump. You must be Ricky's mother?
Brenda.
How you doing? You met the game against
Color coordinated mother and son combo. That's cute. Oh, it's the SC colors, that's why. Maroon and gold.
The SAT test will be administered in this room. When you receive your test...
I don't miss those days, those SAT days. I was not a morning person. And those SATs were always like at 7 in the morning. This was not fair. Just put it at like 10 or 11, and I probably would have had like 100 points higher.
Most of those tests are culturally biased to begin with. The only part that's universal is the math. Cash for your home? You know what that is?
Billboard.
What are y'all, Amos and Andy? I'm talking about the message, what it stands for. It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down.
They were talking about gentrification in 91. The movie was way ahead of its time.
What we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything, black. Black owned with black money.
Ain't nobody from outside bringing down the property value. It's these folks.
Well, how you think the crack rock gets into the country? We don't own any planes. We don't own no ships. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that shit.
This is the Morpheus of the hood.
This is an A and B conversation, you know, you can see your way out of it.
So 90s.
Do I believe in God? Yeah, I guess I do. How else can you have the sun, the moon, and the stars?
Okay, there was a God. Why be letting motherfuckers get smoked every night?
How you know God's a he? He could be a she. You don't know that.
Hey man, what's wrong with you? You looking at? I'm still trying to find out.
Got any drugs or weapons on you?
No. I didn't do nothing.
It's the same cop.
Think you tough? I hate little motherfuckers like you. Little niggas, you ain't shit. How you feel now?
Stay out of trouble.
You gentlemen have a nice evening, man.
Man, that's a tough needle to thread in this story. And I get the point they're trying to make by having a black police officer be the one, you know, perpetrating a lot of this abuse. It goes to the point that it is systemic, and that even black officers engage in racist practices against, you know, the black community. So I definitely get that point that they're trying to make. But relying solely on having just that officer be the representative of that, not even, you know, that white officer really never having lines, never being a real presence other than just a body in the scene, it feels like half the point, you know what I mean?
So funny. Never thought I'd be crying in front of a female. You can cry in front of me.
It's time for you to let go. Trey is a grown man now. He is not a little boy anymore. That time has passed, sweetheart. You missed it.
That's gotta hit hard.
Sit your ass down.
Excuse me?
I said sit your ass down before I raise my voice and make a fool out of both of us. What you did is no different from what mothers have been doing from the beginning of time.
You can learn all these things in the Army. So no matter what career you choose...
Thinking about joining the Army? Just be a running back on the Army squad.
Man, just all that shit, right? I'm going to the Army. That's all there's to say.
You think about doing what? Man, what are you, a damn fool? Do anything?
At first I thought that scratch off was attached to the milk carton. I was like, what kind of milk comes with scratch offs on it?
Said nothing. I didn't win nothing, all right?
Told you, man, you gotta be Mexican to win that shit.
Oh, man, I won this lottery.
I've never won a scratch off lottery. Then again, I've never really bought them either, so maybe he knows something I don't.
There's that motherfucker that was talking shit the other night.
Dropped his milk.
Come on.
I mean, this movie is all but set up to end in tragedy. No, they're not gonna shoot him. Oh, to the leg. Still alive though. Eesh.
Help me! Somebody help me! Ricky!
It's good foreshadowing though. When Ricky decided to not go through with his dream of playing football, he'd given up, you know? And I feel like once you give up, you know, once you stop moving, you know, it's almost like an invitation from the universe to come for you in a way. It's like he lost hope. And then after that, it was just a matter of time. And this was not his fault, obviously, like, victim of circumstance. But thematically, the mood of it just kind of seemed to fit. Like his fate was sealed or something, you know?
Oh, you bad now. You bad. You gotta shoot somebody now. You know? Give me the motherfucking gun, Trey.
Wasn't sure if he was gonna do it.
Trey!
Oh, wait, did he have the gun after all?
Yeah. Don't. Let me out.
Coming to his senses. Doesn't want to be there.
Been home with your mama, that's where I was.
Uh-oh.
Turn your punk ass off! Yo! Yo, cuz. I know why you got the car last night. You don't want that shit to come back to haunt you. Turned on the TV this morning. Showed all these foreign places. Started thinking, man. Either they don't know or don't care about what's going on in the hood. They had all this foreign shit. They ain't have shit on my brother, man. Shit just goes on and on, you know. Hey, Doe. You still got one brother left, man. Thanks, man.
How to survive in South Central.
Increase the
A
pace.
place where busting the cap is fundamental. No.
All right, wow, that movie was just like oddly specific and relatable for me. I mean, I was even saying during the intro how, you know, I grew up in this working class Chicano neighborhood and how I was like the only kid who was into comics and superheroes. And then you got Trey, the main character in this movie, as a little kid, and he's also into comic books and superheroes. I relate to that, obviously. But then also just this idea that he's, you know, this smart kid, has a lot of potential, but also just kind of acting out and getting into trouble. And again, yeah, that was definitely relatable for me. I mean, more so as I got older. But yeah, I just remember, you know, where I grew up, there just, you know, it was a small town and it was, you know, impoverished, and, you know, the schools were underfunded and under-resourced. And I just remember my experience was just, you know, like when you think of teachers, you know, you want a teacher to be able to look at every student and see potential in them. You know, I think that's the first thing you want when you ask a teacher, you know, what do you see in your students? I think potential is probably the word that you want to hear. But I think of all the times that I looked into teachers' eyes, and really the first thing I see looking back at me and reflecting at me is resentment, you know? Like just the amount of sort of burnt out and cynical teachers I had who were just there going through the motions. And it's not all teachers. I mean, I had some good teachers and some great teachers, but they felt more like the exception than the rule, you know? So yeah, I just think back on those days, and man, I get, you know, overcome with existential dread just thinking about it. Like, I just am so thankful every day that my mom got me out of that neighborhood. You know, we moved when I was, you know, early in high school and never looked back, but not everybody gets that opportunity. And I think that's part of what this movie is about. Yeah, I wonder how autobiographical this movie was for John Singleton. You know, is Trey a stand-in for him? Or did he look at himself as more of a Ricky or a Doughboy? Yeah, in a lot of ways, this movie really was about potential and what happens when, you know, you don't cultivate it. You know, when you have Ricky, who has the potential to be this, you know, star football player, but he just doesn't have the opportunities. And, you know, he's trying, he has a recruiter, he talks with the recruiter, you know, it seems like he's on his way, but just everything around him is just pulling him down, and there's just violence and just all this stuff around him, and it's just so dispiriting for him that, you know, he just, decides, what, I can't do this. I can't go through with it. I'm just going to join the army. Like he gives up on his dream before he's even properly started on his dream. And then you have Doughboy, who like has moments where, he's clearly this intelligent, thoughtful guy, but he's just never been allowed to be that, or at least he never feels like he's been allowed to be that. So he covers it up with a lot of bravado and bluster. And, he plays the part of the gangster really well, but you could tell there's more underneath the surface. He just, is not always allowing himself to access that, So yeah, this movie is just really about squandered potential that's never allowed to fully be realized for all sorts of societal reasons. And it's really interesting to me just how overtly political this movie is. When I hear people talk about this movie now, I don't hear them talking about it as a political movie. You hear more about the writing and the acting and what a good drama it is, and this true to life story that it is, but you don't really hear anyone say it's a political movie. But it was obviously very political, and I feel like it's the kind of movie, like if this movie got made today, I feel like everything gets so scrutinized so heavily nowadays that I feel like if a black crime film came out today that was this overtly political, it would get, all sorts of backlash before it even came out in theaters, I don't know, maybe it's just because I was not an adult back then and was just not aware enough of what people were talking about, but it just seems like movies could get away with being political a lot more back then. You didn't have social media where you could just galvanize thousands of like-minded people to, go after a film online. So yeah, it seems like things snuck under the radar a little more. But what's also funny about the politics of this movie is, like, yeah, you have your speeches about gentrification and systemic racism and policing and housing, and you get that point of view for sure. But then on the other side, you also get this political point of view, which I feel like doesn't get expressed a whole lot. And in fact, I feel like, depending on who you're talking to, is kind of an unwelcomed point of view to have nowadays. You get Lawrence Fishburne's character and even Angela Bassett's character, talking about personal responsibility and, as an individual exerting yourself, and putting in the hard work and the effort and, basically living the straight and narrow. And, I feel like there's been celebrities, especially black celebrities in recent years, who've said things to that effect, talking about fathers, in these neighborhoods. And I feel like some of these black celebrities have gotten called out and, really heavily criticized for, talking about things like that. Like, I feel like there's definitely more of an emphasis now on talking about, the systemic reasons, for instance, for violence in the black community and drugs and poverty, and, talking about the systemic reasons for these things, and not so much blaming individuals and not talking as much about individual responsibility in all of this, and it's a complicated conversation. I'm not going to pretend to have the answers. And I feel like I'm sure a little bit of both. Yeah, of course, there's systemic pressures and reasons, but within that, what is the individual's responsibility? What is the expectation there? So I feel like it's a really complex issue to talk about, but it seems like a really polarized conversation to have right now, obviously. So yeah, just a great film. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, just a really complex film. So much to talk about, and I only have so much time. But I think I'll just leave it here. I'm interested to hear your comments on this film. So if you like this reaction, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to follow along with more of my movie reactions, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And remember to ring the bell for notifications, because that lets you know when I upload a new video. Signing out for today, this has been Good Movies and Music. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.